We're screwing ourselves right at this very moment. We can all see that the school system is negatively affecting the way we learn, which is why something needs to be done. Now, I take regular school classes, and it's not surprising that I have less stress. Now, I have a job, and my job takes the majority of my time outside of school. I really don't have any other distractions, and I don't have a girlfriend, so ladies, hit me up. Now, my friend Daniel, on the other hand, he has some advanced placement classes, or AP classes for short. He's also in swimming, and a lot of his time and his weekend goes towards swimming and swim meets. He has a girlfriend which he is never away from, so you all know how that goes. Now, my friend Austin, on the other hand, he has a full AP schedule. AP Physics, AP English, and AP US History. Now, he's also in debate and choir, so a lot of his time out of school goes to choir and debate, and sometimes a lot, most of the time, homework. And he also has a girlfriend, which he tries to make as much time as he can possible to go see her. We all took a stress/anxiety/depression test online, but it was like one of those cheesy websites with like the ads that sponsored hot singles in your area, click one now, or something like that. It was cheesy. Anyways, we all took the test, but it was a reliable website, and it proved that I, taking regular classes, had less stress than Austin and Daniel. And now to my points. Point 1, anxiety and depression within the students. Point 2, the teachers are effective as well. And point 3, students are learning effectively as they should be.
Now back to point 1, there is anxiety and depression within students. Now there is 38% of students in the US that suffer from test anxiety. Now I can personally vouch for test anxiety because I have it myself. Every time I take a test, I can't seem to focus on the actual question. I keep on focusing on the time. Am I going to get this test done on time, so I can turn it in and make a good grade? But because I'm so much focused on that and not what it's actually asking me in the questions, it completely affects my grades. And the state, they completely neglect this fact. They completely neglect it, and they have the students and they rate them on how intelligent they are. Now, Alma, can you come up here for a second? Come on, come up here. Now, will you pick up this bag and raise it over your head?
Sure, Austin. If I can. Yeah.
So it's not that hard, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Now, will you take this bag and raise it over your head?
Oh. I can really do that.
Does it say it's heavier?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome, Austin.
Now, we took out everything out of these bags. We took out everything that didn't have to do with actual learning and education. Now, this bag right here, the one that is obviously way more heavier, this represents the students that are very interested, and trust our education system. They actually care about it. They are deeply involved in school. But yet, because of the tests that we took, it shows that these people who are actually deeply involved are the ones that have more anxiety and depression, which obviously has something wrong to do with our education system. And it doesn't stop at the students, which brings me to my second point, the way teachers are being treated. It's obvious how important teachers are to our, society as a whole, because take Mr. Davidson, for example, our speech teacher. He teaches us how to verbally communicate and get information across really effectively. And that's going to be very important through society because we communicate all the time in society. It's important for teachers to teach our kids how to teach. That way we can keep the knowledge going, so we don't just forget everything that we studied and ultimately be back at square one. So it's obvious how important these teachers are, but yet they're treating them like pretty much garbage. They budget cut them, they add hours, and sometimes when they add hours, they don't even raise their pay. They're working more hours and getting paid the same amount of money. They're changing tests all the time. For example, the STAR test. I think the STAR test rolled around about 2004. I believe. Well, in 2004, before 2004, the tests weren't, the whole class didn't have to take the test. And I mean the class as a whole, I mean the grade as a whole, didn't have to take the test at the same time. But the STAR tests, they introduced that. Now, this whole grade has to take the test at the same exact time. And this was obviously a problem for our math teachers. Now, in math, you know how all the students now, they use the calculators for almost everything, right? Well, it was okay for the teachers back then to just have one set of calculators because the students would come through, use them, put them back, and they'd be done and then leave. Well, because of this new STAR test that said the whole grade now has to take the math STAR test at the same time, we were very low in calculators. We had teachers that had to pay out of their own money, out of their own pocket, and pay for these calculators. They're trying to desperately scrape them together, so that these kids could just have a chance at actually passing their test and have good grades. And even if they did have these calculators, there would still be a problem. Which brings me to my third point. Students aren't learning as effectively as they should be. There's an obvious crisis in America right now, and it is the creativity crisis. Now, recently, throughout the years, our creativity has been going up and up and up. We've been doing really good. But then all of a sudden, it started going back down. It's steadily starting to decrease and decrease and decrease. And this crisis is very big. It's a very big deal. You know, people like Galileo and Einstein, I mean, they had a huge effect on their society because they thought outside of the box. We need these innovative people to be able to solve real world problems that we had. Now, without creativity, we are going to lose these people, and we're going to lose the ability to solve problems and help society and do what a citizen is actually supposed to do for its government. Everybody in the United States is changing the way they think and the way they learn, and so should our education system.
In conclusion, our education system is affecting our society in a negative way. Our education system brings about negative effects such as test anxiety and depression. As you can see from Austin's backpack example, the students who are most deeply rooted into our education system are the ones receiving these negative effects. And our second point, we talked about teacher mistreatment. Our students are nothing without their teachers. And when a teacher is mistreated, the student is also feels this mistreatment. Despite the obvious importance of teachers, they are still being mistreated today. Our third point is about the lack of creative thinking in our society. Without thinking outside the box, our society is becoming more and more unable to solve real-world problems. All of these negative aspects create an obvious problem in our society, which is why we need change.